Welcome back. This episode is a discussion on how to find distressed property. There's certainly plenty of that crossing the United States. Now, my name is Ted Thomas. I've been involved in real estate for over 30 years, and I specialize in distressed property, primarily tax lien certificates and tax defaulted property. Now, when I discovered that I could buy property from the local government for 10, 20, and 30 cents on the dollar with no mortgage or no deed or trust loan, I knew this was going to be the business for me. I never looked back. Now, in this episode, I'm going to reveal how you can do the same, and we'll discuss ways that you can do it in multiple parts of the business, whether you want foreclosures or bank-owned or REO properties or whatever. But I'm going to show you some secrets to buying at tax-defaulted auctions before I finish. This episode is all about how to find distressed properties. Now, I'm going to make this relatively easy for you. You can sit at home on your rusty dusty, and guess what? You can research and locate money-generating bargains just at your computer. Just follow along with what we're going to do today. I'll be right back to give you some insight into that. Maybe you're an entrepreneur. People have different personal and professional motivations. So I don't know why you'd be an entrepreneur. Most people want to be an entrepreneur because they want to be famous or they want to make an awful lot of money. I don't know about you, but let's talk this out a little bit. One of the biggest reasons people become self-employed is they don't want to, or they don't really fit into a corporate mold or a template. They don't want to work for someone else on someone else's timetable. They want to do it on their time and their timetable. So my first rule is this: don't quit your job. Keep your job while you're learning your new business. Second thing that I want to make sure that you're aware of is read rule number one again. And the rule number one, as I just said, is simply this: don't quit your job. You've got to keep that job. Why? Because this business is up and down, especially when you're getting started. So we're talking about how to find distressed properties. I know many of you already are working 40-hour weeks and you're not happy with that. I know tons of people that quit their 40-hour week job, go home and work 60 hours, and they don't make as much as they did in the 40 hours. So keep your job and let's make our decisions so that we really make some money. Okay, I know you want freedom and you want to make your own decisions, but let's learn something new first. The part of the real estate business that I prefer when it comes to distressed property is tax defaulted property. And I do like those because there's so many bargains out there. Every county in the United States, there's over 3,000 counties, and they all sell distressed property. They're tax defaulted property. So that's happening in all 3,000 counties, and you can attend those auctions online in most cases, but you sure can learn what properties are available by sitting on your assets at home and looking at your computer. So ask yourself, if you can buy slightly used and abused property for 10 and 20 cents on the dollar, and then you can put a sign on the front lawn, and you could advertise on Craigslist and eBay and Facebook Marketplace and sell it for 50 or 60 cents on the dollar. So you bought it for 10 or 20, you sell it for 50 or 60. That'd make a nice dollar exchange for you, and you probably could sell it to a fixer-upper guy or a flipper or someone like that. So if that would work for you, you're going to really like what you're going to see now. So the county really needs the money for these properties because those tax defaulted properties, their taxes they didn't collect, are what they use to pay the fire department, police department, the schools, school teachers, and so on. So you'll not only be helping your county locally, but you'll be helping yourself by buying for 10 and 20 cents on the dollar. Now, before I go further, let's give you a competitive advantage. What most people do if they're looking for distressed property is they're calling banks, they're calling real estate brokers, they're looking in the newspapers, they're looking at classified ads. All right, so let's give you some inside secrets that'll really help you. This can all be done on your computer from home, and you can do that by going to the 3,000 plus counties in the United States. Each of those counties will have at least one auction. Some will have 2 or 3 auctions every single year. So when it comes to finding distressed real estate, this is an absolutely great source. There'll be over 5,000 tax defaulted auctions this year. So the legislature in every state has mandated that all property owners must pay taxes. If the property owner doesn't pay taxes, they're going to do something about it. There's going to be consequences. So the legislature simply passes the law that everyone pays taxes. And then what they do, they pass the law down to the Board of Supervisors or the county commissioners in every county, and they tell the county commissioners, make sure that you collect taxes. So what do the county officials do? They simply tell the treasurer, they authorize the treasurer to go out and levy taxes, try to collect the taxes, and if they can't collect the taxes, then the treasurer is authorized to seize the property. Not only seize the property, but confiscate it and then resell it at auction. And when they resell it at auction, they're going to have a starting bid of very close to the back taxes. So they don't use the assessed value, which might be high. They use a back taxes or whatever is due with penalties and taxes. That's where they start the bidding. So that might be 10 or 20 cents on the dollar compared to the high tax assessed value. All right, now those properties are going to be sold at auction. Anybody can attend the auction. It happens to be a public auction. The only thing that you need to go to that auction is money to buy. Now, this has been going on for well over 200 years. Properties are sold for back delinquent taxes, could be as low as 10 cents on the dollar. However, that's where the auction starts. I don't know where it's going to end because it is an auction, so people could bid it up 10, 20 cents, 30, 40, 50 cents on the dollar. The point is, the county doesn't want the property, so they want to get rid of it. And when they do sell it, what they do is they eliminate the deed of trust and the mortgage loan. They delete it. All right, so now why did they do all that? Well, they need to get that property sold because they need to get it back on the tax roll because the taxes are what the county needs. That's how they fix the roads. That's how they take care of the school teachers. That's how they take care of the county employees. You're getting the idea. So the county wants to have a public auction. They're going to get rid of the properties for absolutely pennies on the dollar, and you're going to get a distressed property for a real bargain. Should you go look at those? Yes, you definitely want to have boots on the ground and check it out. So I'm answering the question, how to find distressed property. There's all you want right at the public records. Over 3,000 of them. Now, some of them are used and abused. Some of them are junk. Don't buy the junk. And then there's a few, you just clean them up and they're ready to go. All right, so what's happening? Well, there's dozens of these properties, okay? A county with a small population will have hundreds of them. A county with a big population will have hundreds, maybe even thousands of these properties to sell. So the large population counties, it'll take their auction all day to sell the property. So the treasurer is just trying to get rid of the properties. They don't want to hold on to the property. They just want to get rid of it and get it back on the tax roll. So if you're a person that wants to generate a large portfolio, you want to do it in distressed property, you need to learn about distressed properties that are tax defaulted property. If you can think a little bit out of the box, well, and you're a problem solver, this is going to be a perfect business for you where you can make real money. Highest bidder is going to get it at the auction. Now, what about due diligence? You have to look at these properties because the county is going to give you a quitclaim deed. So you're going to have to know what the condition of it is, and you're going to have to know if it has any defects in the title report. All of that you can research online. But don't buy a property unless you physically looked at the property. Auction buyers should look at the property, and while they're looking at it, determine what your selling strategy is going to be. You need to have an exit strategy. If you haven't figured out your exit strategy and you haven't figured out what you're going to do with the property, then you need to get that together before you start bidding. Otherwise, you might bid too high. You want to make sure that you know what you're going to sell it for. All right. Now, everyone in the world can give you advice about this. Now, who's going to give you advice? Your relatives, young people, old people. Everyone will give you advice. However, are they qualified to give you advice? In most cases, they're not qualified. Why aren't they qualified? Because they don't know anything about tax lien certificates or tax deeds or distressed property. They haven't studied any of that. So what are they going to do? They're giving you advice. You need to understand you can't take advice from just anybody. You either need a coach or a mentor or someone to teach you how to do this. You need to get help and get the right kind of expertise. Don't just let anybody tell you what to do. A coach and a mentor can really accelerate your success. Now, throughout these videos, I try to show you some examples of people. So I'm going to show you a quick example right now. A Wisconsin couple purchased a property at auction for only $8,000. However, it had an assessed value of $55,000. All right, so they had a nice margin between assessed value and what they paid for it. So they went to the property, they checked it out, they started fixing it up. Meanwhile, they put signs on the front lawn. They went on eBay. They went on Craigslist. They started selling the property, even put it on the MLS. All right, before you know it, they had people coming in wanting to buy it. So they cleaned it up. They didn't fix it up, but they cleaned it up. So they spent $8,000 when they bought it. They spent another $4,000 cleaning it up, tidying it up, getting ready for sale. Sure enough, they sold the property, and they made a $23,000 profit. Wow, $23,000. So they doubled their money, and they did that during the Christmas holidays in 1 year. Now, then they went to the title company, and what did they get there? They got a contract of sale. All right, they sold with a contract of sale. They did a simple installment contract, just like when you buy a car, just like when you get a refrigerator down at Lowe's or Home Depot. They sold it on an installment contract. The people paid contract payments. They made another $15,000 on selling it on an installment contract. So add it up, $23,000 plus another $15,000, all of that on a small $8,000 investment. How did they do that? Well, what are we talking about today? How to find distressed property. They found a property at the county records. They bought that property at a county auction. You could be doing the same thing. Would you be substantially better off if you made $23,000 profit and then another $15,000 on installment sale? Think about that. My name is Ted Thomas. Mistakes to avoid before you make them are: number one, be sure and go and check the property. Get boots on the ground. Know the condition before you buy. That's number one. Number two, make sure you know what your selling strategy is going to be so that you don't pay too much. You need to do both of those things before you buy a property. I'll see you on the next video.